Velkommen alle sammen. Today I'm going to speak about something very, very important that we see here in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and that is the language between the Norse and the Anglo-Saxons. And this is actually what I did my bachelor's thesis on, so I must say I know quite a bit about this, and I got some cool info for you right here. So we're going to look at this little conversation we hear between King Berdred's son and Sigurd.
I would hire you as my skald.
Scold? It sounds something like Scott, our court poets. Is that what you mean?
Right again.
Fascinating. The harmony between our words and yours is quite something, as if we were distant cousins, separated by an ocean of time as well as space.
I like the thought of that. I do.
So that's it. This is totally true. The Vikings and the Anglo-Saxons are seriously cousins, separated by just a few hundred years. I'm going to show a little map right here about where the Anglo-Saxons came from, and you see they're not English at all. The Anglo-Saxons were just people coming from the Denmark, southern Germany area around the 400s, starting in the 400s, and they migrated and took over England in mass numbers. And the Viking Age is in the 800s, so these two are literally, if you go back 400 years, they're cousins from the from the same family. If you go back 400 years before the Viking Age, they were the same people, spoke the same language, worshipped the same gods. Yes, their language developed differently and evolved over 400 years. The Vikings spoke Old Norse and the Anglo-Saxons spoke Old English at this time. But most sources say from medieval times that they could actually understand each other pretty well. The language looks quite different in writing, but when spoken, it's actually pretty close. It was close enough that they could understand each other. In some sources, in some chronicles, when English are dealing with French or Romans or other places, there are mentions of interpreters. When two kings are talking, they need an interpreter there. But when two leaders between the Anglo-Saxons and the Norse were talking, there is no mention of an interpreter in most of the chronicles there. So we think that they understood each other pretty well. Exactly how well, that's the whole question. I spent about 150 pages of my thesis looking at just how similar these languages were and how they could understand each other. And I finished up by making the comparison to Dutch and German. And that is kind of a language relationship that would be quite similar to Old Norse and Old English. Yes, the two languages are quite different. They evolved a different way and separated for many hundreds of years. They're not similar enough that two speakers could understand each other 100% clearly, but if they talk slow, really enunciate their words, they could get by and understand the main point of the conversation there. So that's about all I'll say for this video. The rest of my thesis, I actually looked at the Old Norse influence on the English language, because even today we have many English words that come from Old Norse, and I'll go over what those are in other videos, because that is something I know quite a bit about, but that's about it for this one. Vi ses nästa gång.